It's already been quite a busy start to the year in terms of RPGs, with last month giving us Elden Ring, which finally graced our presence, which did not disappoint. This year looks to get even busier judging by this month's compilation of games, and we're ready to embrace the chaos. March has some turn-based titles combining retro-style visuals with a refreshed modern look. There's some sci-fi fantasy with a variety of Wild West, medieval influence, and something a bit more final, so get ready for another jam-packed month. Honourable mention, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Inevitable Access DLC. The new DLC for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is releasing this month. The first story DLC, Inevitable Access, happens right before you defend Warwound from the hordes of demons that have infested it. But you're going to take a detour to experience Inevitable Access. Here you'll be revisiting some locations from the base game like Threshold and Is. You'll also be wielding mythic abilities in an attempt to save the space-time continuum from its demise. The Inevitable Access is set on the plane of Axis, where you'll meet Valmos. This entity is known as a primordial, inevitable, and keeper of magic. He was made by Axiomite centuries ago to keep an eye on everything connected to magic, including its very own laws, as well as the wielders themselves. In case you missed it, we enjoyed Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous when it was released on PC last year in September. The sequel was even more colossal than its predecessor, Pathfinder Kingmaker. It featured a lot of nuances and depth when it came to the lore and the weight of your decisions as a player. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Inevitable Access will be released on March 3rd, available as part of the Season Pass and individually. At number 5, Triangle Strategy. The tactical turn-based RPG Triangle Strategy promises meaningful choices as part of the gameplay with a HD 2D art style similar to that of Octopath Traveler. In this title, players will use tactical moves combining tactics and decision-making along with moral choices. Gameplay will be played on a grid, attacking enemies and placing your characters with tactical positioning. Players will take on commanding a group of warriors as Serenoa, the heir to the Kingdom of Glenbrook. Key choices will be tied to the 3 convictions: utility, morality, and liberty. But the most momentous decisions will rely on multiple characters as they weigh in their vote on the scales of conviction, so one player's experience might turn out differently to another's. The game mixes pixel art style characters with 3D backgrounds, adding a heavy dose of nostalgia with refreshed modern appeal. Triangle Strategy will be coming to Switch on March 4th, 2022. You can also check out the demo before you buy. At number 4, Weird West. You may remember Weird West making our list earlier this year. The dark fantasy set Wild West game actually got delayed, but it is now releasing in March. Get ready to adventure through a world of lawmen and gunslingers who coexist with fantastical creatures. The game comes from the co-creators of such titles as Dishonored and Prey, inviting players into an immersive action RPG sim. Players will journey through the origin stories of a group of characters who are atypical heroes. Take Jane Bell for instance. A bounty hunter is on the quest to discover her son's killer and also her husband's kidnapper. Players will move from one character to another until everything comes to a head in the final chapter, with 5 characters to get to know. Choose their weapon abilities, which range from different gun types to much closer ranged weapons such as a knife. Don't expect each playthrough to be the same though, as there are unique events, characters, factions, and even places reacting to player actions and their previous choices. The title sets to be an immersive sandbox sim with a concentration as an RPG. Choose how you want things to play out, slow and steady, or dive right in with throwing an explosive battle at enemies is just one of the ways to tackle situations. Weird West has roughly 40 plus hours of gameplay split between 5 characters that are tied together, which will become more apparent as the game goes on. Follow quests, pick up bounties, or simply explore the new frontier. Weird West will launch on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 on March 31st, 2022. At number 3, ELEX 2. ELEX 2 is the sequel to the predecessor ELEX, which was released in 2017 as a single-player action RPG by the same developer who worked on the Gothic and Risen series. The sequel will return to the post-apocalyptic set sci-fi world of Magalan. The world is a mix of sci-fi and medieval-looking fantasy. Playing as Jax, you will explore the open world as the Skyans threaten the planet. ELEX 2 will have 5 playable factions: the Berserkers, the Outlaws, the Alps, the Clerics, and the Morkans. Each faction offers their own unique weapons and skills. Action combat is in third person with a range of weapons including chainsaws, axes, guns, scythes, bows, rockets, and more. There also seems to be an array of laser weapons if your usual hack and slash weapons don't suffice. Decisions made in the game will also affect the overall story, and there is plenty of side questing as well, so if third person combat in a sci-fi fantasy world piques your attention, check out ELEX 2 this month. ELEX 2 will be coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on March 1st, 2022. At number 2, King Arthur, Knight's Tale. In Knight's Tale, players take up the mantle of Sir Mordred, the mortal enemy of King Arthur, who is considered a Black Knight in this universe. Both of you have perished at each other's hands, but something brought you back from the grave. The Lady of the Lake then embarks you on the quest to finish off King Arthur once and for all. King Arthur Knight's Tale is a tactical turn-based RPG that uses a grid-based movement system similar to XCOM or Phoenix Point. Instead of there being an initiative mechanic that determines character turn order, the player can move all their units in a single turn. Your quest won't be easy as there'll be some tough decisions to make throughout the game, choices that affect the morality system that the game features. Mordred can choose to remain truly neutral, become more rightful, or become more of a tyrant. As you go around exploring Camelot, you recruit a squad of heroes. You will get to know these characters, develop their skills and talents. Each hero will have a different class that is determined by his skills and weapons that they can use. King Arthur Knight's Tale will be leaving early access on March 29th for PC. At number 1, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin follows a group of adventurers who are on a mission to kill Chaos. Jack, together with his allies Ash and Jed, quest to defeat Chaos in order to open the gates to the Chaos Shrine. However, not everything is smooth sailing, as there are doubts to whether these heroes are the Warriors of Light, which apparently is important to a prophecy. If you find any of these concepts familiar, that's because Stranger of Paradise, while neither a prequel nor remake to Final Fantasy I, it is based on the core concepts of this universe. Combat of this action RPG game lets you run, dodge, block, parry and counter using an energy gauge that will limit your movement if expended. Enemies have a similar gauge. If you run it down, you can commit break damage. Using the job system, players can customize Jack and his party by assigning them different jobs or combat roles. There will be base jobs that can be evolved into more specialized ones later on. There are advanced classes such as the Red Mage, Berserker and Samurai. Combat sets to provide a satisfying experience with an array of combos and abilities. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin will release on March 18th for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via the Epic Game Store. So that was the rundown of top 5 RPGs of March. Did I miss your favourite release? What games are you looking forward to most this year? Please let us know in the comments below.